Assalamu alaikum, folks. Let me just straighten this up. Right. All right. Let me bring up some of the comments. Just going to also do a quick audio scan. All right. What's that? What have I opened? Just checking here for. Well, I guess that can wait. Right, so let me just see. Is the audio coming through loud and clear? Right. The sound is good. Shukran, shukran. Inna alhamdulillah wa kafah. والصلاة والسلام على رسوله المصطفى وعلى عباده الذين ارتضى ومن بهداهم اهتدى وبآثار أهل المدينة اقتفى وبعد فسلام الله على القوم. Whew. Ya salam, people. Ya salam. It's been some interesting days, shall we say? Some interesting days. Let me just grab whilst you guys are tuning in, I'll just have to take a sip of that. Let's see, people, what is going on? Who have we got with us loud and clear? All right. Right, Sayyid In'am from Kashmir. Ahlan wa sahlan. Al-Amin Rakib Tonoy, all the way from Bangladesh. Ahlan wa sahlan wa swagatam. All right. Kalam from Sweden. Sorry, Kirag Salam from Sweden. And Nora, ahlan wa sahlan, as always. Shukran. Right, so Shamroz G, how are you? Wow, what can I say? In the words of Mir, Hale bad na guftani hai mera, aapne pucha to meharbani ki. Wow, it's been some very fascinating, interesting days. You know, as always, I need to go get a haircut. Allah be praised. Allah be praised. There's a lot's been happening in all dynamics, really. So I've been blessed with another little one. Allah barakallahu fiha. I've chosen the name Aya. Allah. Ayatun min ayatillah, people. So this is the final one I own up to. So there's been a lot. There's been some family, just, this whole summer thing, weddings going on. But there's also, on the other side, there's some, very unnerving issues, like my mum's health has kind of deteriorated, and may Allah make things easy. I mean, so it's just been in the middle of so much, really. And to be honest, I thought I wanted to do a show last week and I couldn't get round to it. And I thought to myself, well, let's do one this week. And then it almost slipped me. And I thought, well, sometimes, inna fasad al-ra'yi an tataraddada. That's see, what ruins things often can also be, it can be hesitation. That, as the poet says, in kunta dha ra'yin fa kun dha azimatin. That, if you make up if you have an opinion on something, then you must have an azm, azima. فَإِنَّ فَسَادَ الرَّأْيِ أَن تَتَرَدَّدَ. That's or in the words of Salman Khan, that ek baar mein commitment kar lo. that also works. So yeah, I thought let's do this. Will keep this relatively short today, and I'm thinking also from next week I will, inshallah, that's it. The intention now that I will change the timings to kind of evening time UK. So yeah, let's go with that, see how that works for next week. So for now, manifest as mercy, people. Shukran. Barakallahu feek. Yeah, so manifest as mercy. Allah. I thought let's share some words on this. I wanted to go over also a few verses of what could be a better surah indicating mercy than Surah Ar-Rahman. Allah. It doesn't really get any better than that, people. So that's something I want to take a look at. Just the first 9 verses of Surah Ar-Rahman. And we'll speak a bit about that in just a moment. So I'll take a look at your comments and what's going on. Shamroz Khan, shukran, may Allah bless you. Much appreciated. So, people, what an interesting time it is. Somebody said your hair. I'm getting too old for my hair. Kya baat hai yaar? Getting too old for that hair. I need a haircut, but ab kya kar? Hair too. See, everything is but a blessing from Allah. We should. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Allah. So, right now, let's begin with. I'd come across some of these classic lines of Mir Taqi Mirza. Mir Taqi Mir, the legend. I thought, why not? It was so, I guess, relevant with the whole thing of pondering with life, with just, you've got mercy and contemplation. Oh, ya salam. Nora, Allah bless you. You really should not have that. Ya salam. May Allah keep you always blessed and always smiling. I mean, you really didn't have to, but I really appreciate your love and sentiments. May Allah keep you blessed. Donate some of that here. You could abhi kar dete hain. We'll cut it off right now if that's. Yeah, so you know what? Tomorrow, inshallah, let's go to the barbers, the hairdressers. Rather. You know, on Friday, in case I forget, I should have a mind trap with Dr. Sheikh Shahzad Salim again on some very interesting topics surrounding women, Islam, and jurisprudence, if you like, or just the whole conceptualization. So there's a lot of topics to go into that. A lot of the kind of challenging, maybe problematized notions that people raise to do with women and Islam, we should be discussing them. It may take a few sessions, at least 2, if not more, with Dr. Shahzad Salim. So it will be this Friday. around 7 p.m. UK time. So look out for that, people. All right. So shukran, Mufti style looks good. Muhammad Shakur, क्या बात करते हो यार? You, Ishan, शर्मा जाता हूँ. No, I'm joking. Allah bless you. Ameen. Ameen. Mufti, could you have a debate with Christian Prince? No, I would not be having a debate with Christian Prince. So I'm not interested. It doesn't matter, it's people say these people say this, they say that. It's not. Look, focus on your path. Keep walking one step at a time. Don't worry about these people. What are you going to entertain every single person that you see along the way? Look, in line with that, Mir Taki Mir Sahib, फकीराना आए सदा कर चले के मियाँ खुश रहो हम दुआ कर चले. Allah. See, look, this is what he's saying. That they came, faqirana, this whole thing of faqir, and it's not just poor, but that kind of dervish concept of somebody who's just this kind of malang, this mystic wanderer in the search of God, in the search for God. That faqirana aaye sada kar chale, that they came and left this echo, Mia khush raho, that hum dua kar chale, that may you always be happy. This is the echo they left behind, and then that they set off. See, manifest, this is it, as a mercy for people. जो तुझ बिन ना जीने को कहते थे हम, सो इस अहद को अब वफा कर चले. Check this out. जो तुझ बिन ना जीने को कहते थे हम, that when we'd say that we could no longer live without you. Now this is a promise or a pact that we have now realized, as in turned to a reality, as in they've now gone. Ya salam. शिफा अपनी तकदीर ही में ना थी. Now check this line out, people. शिफा अपनी तकदीर ही में ना थी कि मकदूर तक तो दवा कर चले. Allah. I'm telling you, that is such a line. That look, he says that in the end, he says maybe shifa was never in my fate. That the healing, the cure, it was never destined for him. He's in this line, it's in this couplet, it's as though he's suffering from an illness, whatever that may be symbolic, metaphoric, it may be love, it may be an achievement, it may be ambition, it may be courage, it could be anything. This is not speaking about it's less so speaking about actual ailments and illnesses, and more so about a metaphoric, that he accepts at the end that, okay, maybe the cure was never destined for me. Ke maqdoor tak to, maqdoor is your qadar, like as in not here qadar as in your capacity, full strength, but to our full strength, dawa kar chale, that we medicated till the nth degree, as in we took every possible path till we could. It's just a testimony to the human spirit. वो क्या चीज है आह जिसके लिए हर एक चीज से दिल उठाकर चले. That what is that one thing And he says, what a style, yeah. In his poetry, he does that sometimes. Just, he really, wo kya cheez hai, jiske liye. That what is that thing, that one thing for which har ek cheez dil se utha kar chale. That for that one thing we stripped bare the heart and removed from it everything else. What was that one thing? And the fact that humans have the capacity to do that, once they set their goals, their eyes on something, find your Charles Bukowski, find your passion, let it kill you. Allah, Allah. बहुत आरज़ू थी गली की तेरी. That we so longed for passing by your house, your settlement, your abode, your accommodation. This is once again drawing up that trope, that motif of where a person longs for something, and just to even pass by it, by accompanying, by just that being in the presence of, even if they're not there, but that attachment. And this can be extrapolated to all, right up to the transcendental. A person may go to a certain site. You could turn up to the haram. It's not that God physically lives in these places, but it's just that you go, there is an association. There is an attachment. So he's saying that in the bahut aarzu thi gali ki teri. So yahan se lahu mein naha kar chale. So eventually he's giving the image that we were drenched in blood when we finally got to that street of yours. It's quite a tragic, but showing that the journey, the adventure that this person had to go through hell and high water to get just to an association of the one. Ya salam. दिखाई दिए यूं के बेखुद किया हमें आपसे भी जुदा कर चले. What a line. That when you manifested yourself, it resulted in the person saying ke bekhud ki, I lost my senses, my true sense of consciousness. Bekhud, this is an amazing word in Urdu. Kind of describes this losing oneself. Bekhudi. Hame aap se bhi juda kar chale. Now this could be understood in two ways, that hame aap se bhi juda kar chale, that you separated me from you, that this union was cleft asunder. The other way could be understood, hame aap se bhi juda kar chale. You ripped me from my very own soul. Allah. जबी सजदा करते ही करते गई हके बंदगी हम अदा कर चले. That he says, but we didn't leave our sujood. We did sajda upon sajda. That when it came to it, we fulfilled the right of worship. And he says that it's actually in this same poem. It's further down. It's not here, but he says, "Kahen kya jo puche koi humse mir, jahan mein tum aaye the, kya kar chale." That what would you reply if somebody was to ask me that you did come into this world, but what is it that you left behind? It's really something that in a world of countless options and choices and crippled by routes and paths that drown us with their options, if anything, we should manifest as mercy. Ameen. The verse of the Quran in Surah Al-Anbiya 107 that وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We have not sent you except as a paragon of mercy for others. Right, I just want to share those words. Tisab, just a little, I remembered आज बहुत दिन बाद आंखें भीग उठी शायद अभी थोड़ी सी जिंदगी बाकी है मुझ में अल्लाह अभी तो बहुत कुछ बाकी है मेरे दोस्त there's a lot left yet. There's a lot. Inshallah, I will unfold a step at a time. Shukran, Mojane. Stay blessed. Prince Christian, just chat bakwas and be all foul mouth. Yeah, I'm not interested in these kind of debates. I'll tell you what I am interested in is discussions with people, but they have to be of a certain nature, caliber, whom you can discuss with. Otherwise, what's the point of it? I mean, who just wants to? You see, if I just want to argue, if you just want to argue, you can just argue with the wall. It doesn't take much creativity to just be. I think that it reflects an unsettled soul to be constantly kind of. I need to argue with people. I need to argue. No, it's the opposite. Sure, you can have conversations, you can have dialogues, I don't even see the point in all of this Christian Islamic polemics. I don't. We're not, we are so post Christian Islamic polemics now. It's irrelevant and immaterial to the discourse. So, yeah. Isa Logliski, thanks, Mufti. You always cheer me up. Shukran, shukran. May Allah keep you always cheered up. Ameen. Al-Murabitun, may Allah bless you, and shukran for your love and support. Your guidance has changed my life and guided me to where I am now. Allah bless you for your kind words. Allah guides whom He wills, and He guides us all, and He fashions our hearts and allows them to feel the light. And I think something with, this comes back to that stillness, something with age, this inner reflection, this muraqabah, this kind of inward directed thought, this is in essence the remembrance of God. Because dhikrullah could be understood in two ways. One is dhikrullah, to the utterance. One is the remembrance. And remembering is not always to say someone's name. That's also a way, that's an aspect of dhikr. People say somebody's name. They say Allah's name. We say, Ya Rahman. People may say Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah. Or I suppose that's more praising Allah, but just the name. If people are just saying, you get people that may just say Ya Latif, Ya Hayyu, Ya Qayyum, say the names of Allah as they are mentioned in the Quran. That's one way. Another way that is also dhikrullah is the remembrance, this kind of inward directed where one loses themselves in the thoughts, in the reflection, in the mindfulness. Just as if you were to say, I was remembering such and such that day. That's not to say that you were simply preoccupied by just saying their name. as in, oh, yaar, it's Dil said a poem, and I said, yaar, I was remembering Dil the other day, and I said, it's, that's not to mean. I was just saying Dil, Dil, Dil. It sound more like a song. But that I was lost in thought, immersed. This is also a dhikr of Allah, and it's also a permutation of it is pondering in things, in realities, in an essence, in yourself. This is all khalqullah. Allah says that we should have tadabbur, tafakkur. We should kind of be contemplatively immersed in pondering over, reflecting on, mindful of the entirety of the creation of God. So and what this does is this kind of inward directed thought is it brings a stillness, this mindfulness to just practice, to just still everything within. Somebody could go on YouTube and just look at something like mindfulness for 3 minutes, just how to quieten the noise. And what happens as a consequence is the intuition sharpens. And that intuition has a connect with the transcendental intimations. Allah. It does. Intuition is what is guided divinely. So yeah, that's I get distracted. Let's move on. Allah, Allah, Allah. Imi, ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. Al-Marine Adimi. Shukran, shukran. Rifi, may Allah always keep you blessed and smiling. All your love and support is always much appreciated. Shukran clear. I don't understand. Always explains the these I tell you, poetry has a way. It has a way. It really does. Allah, Daniel. May Allah bless you. Here, Islam Channel USA, Allah, it reflects an unsettled soul. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to say. So, shukran. Yeah, so somebody asking about Basir at Mufti isn't a sports fan, just the gym. Yeah, that is true. Basir had asked about congrats to Pak win today. I think I heard somebody say during the day that Pakistan won. I think was it again Afghanistan or something. I don't really watch many sports. It's weird because I just can't find myself interested in them. It's like if I watch it, I get so bored. I just don't. I think that must be an abnormality in me because everybody watches sports and they love them, and I can understand the concept of why people love them and the sense of belonging, and it's almost at a very core level there's a sense of tribalism which is inherent within our psyche, but it just doesn't manifest with me. I find it so boring. I just see people running around a pitch chasing a ball, and I think, that must be the streak of autism in me or something. I would think that maybe I do have a streak, but then I think the only thing that makes me think, I don't know, is my sense of humor. Because I've thought, 'cause somebody once said to me, Mufti, wouldn't you think you have? I said, well, aren't we all on all spectrums at some point? It's not like some people are on some, we're all on all the spectrums to some extent, but it's just to an extent which is still within normality. and if we can use that word, even, I don't know if that's the right word, but or that is socially common, should we say. And yeah, and then somebody said, we were having this discussion once, and I said, well, I could see what you're saying sometimes, because things like this make me think how I don't find certain things totally, I can't relate to the passion that people relate to with it. But then I think my sense of humor is too um bizarre for to be, what's the correct uh term? Neurodivergent. That's it. I learnt the word, people. Neurodivergent. I like it. But speaking of cricket, I know that there was some in the UK, there was some in the Midlands, some kind of clashes between Hindus and Muslims, and it was in the media as well. And that's such a shame to watch and hear. And what is it with people? In fact, even today, I heard that when there was the Pakistan-Afghan cricket match, somebody said, "Oh, people started throwing chairs afterwards and getting all restless." And like, what is it that we? You see, I think it's a sign of maturity, of becoming an adult, that one can accept defeat, however, whether it's your defeat or their defeat. That it's a sport at the end of the day. It's like TK. It's a sport. It's not, nobody's dying over this, so they shouldn't be. It's supposed to be sportsmanship. And that's why, people say, because it's supposed to be something like be a sport. The saying, be a sport. Like, come on. It's supposed to be reflect that spirit. But yeah, salam. Yeah, that was in Leicester. Yeah, you're right. And it was yeah. So let's move on, people. Somebody said enjoying intellectual discussions between people identify their country and ultimately themselves with it. No, they do. There is. That's why what I said, that sports. See, sports is two things. At a spectator perspective and an affiliative angle, it is identity and tribalism. That's what it is. From a psychological, if you're going to psychologize it, that's what it is. People, they identify, it becomes part of them, they define themselves through it. They may buy the kind of, the props and wear the t-shirts and do all of that. So it becomes an identity, it's an identitarian element to it. From a participatory element, if you're playing sports, it can have that as well, but it can also, see, playing sports is also a substitute, can also be a substitute spiritual affair. And what I mean by that is, you see, when people play sports, there's a point where they get into a state of flow. This is for participatory. This is not for people watching, but people playing. They get into a state where you are in flow, that you're not even thinking about what to do. As in, you're thinking, but it's not that you have no thoughts, but you've gone into this kind of state that is between having to plan everything and between being unaware. It's something that it goes into like an autopilot, highly functional mode. And and there's been studies done on things like this, that this whole thing, this brain state, which is defined as flow, being in a state of flow, humans become incredibly productive in a state of flow. You are at peak performance. It is not like you and me just sitting here now, when you're in flow, you are killing it. It is on another, and people try to optimize these levels at work. They try to enter into a state of flow, sometimes music, sometimes certain mindfulness. They train themselves. And another parallel where people enter certain kinds of these kind of states of mind has been with religious experiences. So there has been some studies. There was an interesting book as well. I was listening to the whole discussion on it, but it'll come to me. But where they're discussing this whole thing and highlighting how sport in the modern world creates a state flow, which is for people who have no spiritual experiences, because in the modern world, many people have stepped away from a spiritual worldview. This it provides a mirror image to this kind of peak state of mind that they enter. It's almost like a spiritual experience in that moment, even though they know they're playing sports, but for a moment they forget everything. The moment becomes greater than the thing itself, and it could be very well defined as a spiritual experience. So that's also something for people who love sports to play them with a passion. That's maybe the contemporary modern world's way of substituting experiences. Right. Rahim, ahlan wa sahlan wa shukran. Sports is just another outlet for asabiya. Sure, it is. It is as well. Right. Right. So let's take a look. I'm going to share a link and I will let you guys jump on. And it's an odd cup, huh? But chalo, karna padta hai. A veces, sometimes es necesario. People, we have to understand. So, right, let's share a few words on. Oh, before we do, Gold Globe, Allah bless you, and Azarati, Allah keep you blessed. I mean, shukran, much love for the super stickers and super chats. I wanted to share a few words on Surah Ar-Rahman. Now, I want to take a look at the first 9 verses of this surah and just see how we can take some lessons from it that are meaningful for our daily lives, that enrichen our daily experience and the meaning and our connection with the Quran. Ameen. So Surah Rahman, by the way, is it's absolutely one of the most awe-striking surahs of the Quran. It's I suppose short to medium, has 78 verses. It's a Makki surah. It's a surah that begins with the name of God. One of the few surahs that does that. Begins with Ar-Rahman, Allah. And it's highly exceptional and exceptionally remembered by almost everyone for its fabulous verse, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. That which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? And this verse is repeated in it 31 times. 31 times you get فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. So if you don't know, the surah is in the 27th juz. If you get a chance to visit it, read it if you can, even if it's a few verses. It is something so. There's Now there are many virtues that have been associated with surah. Now it is true that most virtues of the Quran are not generally uh, authentic ahadith, but just in terms of meaning, giving meaning, there's so many ahadith that say things like whoever uh, concerns himself with this surah, um, or herself with this surah, that hana alayhi kullu amrin sa'ab, that every difficult affair becomes easy for them. And maybe one way of understanding that is because people, one way of looking at it is just through the barakah, the, the kind of mystery of the surah and recitation. And another way is by pondering on gratitude, because the whole surah is so entrenched in this concept of gratitude and mercy. So when a person is going over فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ, and which of the favors of your Lord shall you deny? And it's interesting, this تُكَذِّبَانِ, it's in Arabic the dual form. So it's like you're addressing two people. So one way of looking at that is, some people had said, well, maybe this is addressing ins wal jan. It's ins wal jinn. So it's addressing humans and, let's say, non-human entities. That's one way that some people can see it. And the beautiful thing about the Quran, this is the beautiful thing, is that it gives you mind-blowing readings every time you look at it with fresh eyes. And there's many ways of looking at this. In the past as well, many people did see that, no, this was a this was a style of expression that many Arabs used. It was the dual form. So if you look at all ancient, now we're not going to have ancient speeches preserved, so they don't usually preserve ancient. So let's say you look at pre-Islamic texts or literature, you're not going to find speeches, but you will find poetry still preserved. So in all of that, they often, you will find, not in all poems, but it was a common um, style of expression that many of the great poets would always exercise this, that um, in certain odes or certain abiyat, they would begin by saying, addressing two people, and then they would continue with just this two. So like كيف نبكي من ذكرى حبيب ومنزلي بسقط اللواء بين الدخول فحمل. Allah, that kifa, that stand, that nabki, that stop here and let us cry. But he's and then bisiqt al-liwa bayna ad-dukhuli fa humli, at this particular place. That's Imra al-Qais is very famous mu'allaqa, and many of them. He does have another one as well, by the way, very similar. Qifa nabqi bi dhikra habibin wa irfani wa rab'in ma afat atharuhu منذ azman. Allah, he had style. But this is a common thing to, especially in classical Arabic, that they would express when making certain statements. One of the styles of expression was to address two, dual, as if there is a dual there, even if there isn't. So, and it's very likely that this surah is in that mode of expression. So it's not, but one could say, well, it is just addressing to, let's say, species. One could say that. One could say however you want to look at it. So different There's different ways of looking at it, but that seems to also be a very apt way of understanding that. So, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. And this surah, it's interesting, I tell you, that this surah is named the in certain narrations that Arus. Now that's an interesting concept, and the bride of the Quran. So it's like, well, okay, that's interesting because it brings into discussion this whole the energy, the kind of vibrational energy of the feminine, and that's has it's very profound when looking at how this surah, it anchors itself, nests itself within the center of the Quran, reminding us of mercy and gratitude with this vibrational force that could be maybe characterized with a kind of a feminine, in the sense as the womb, Ar-Rahim, is a it's a manifestation of the feminine. And Ar-Rahim in Arabic, in the hadith, is mushtaq, derived min Ar-Rahman, Allah. And Allah begins Ar-Rahman. That's fascinating. That the Rahim, which is the womb, and in the hadith Qudsi, that it has been almost extracted, mushtaq, derived from Ar-Rahman, from Rahmah, and the ultimate is Ar-Rahman. And I guess in many ways, what we in this world are doing is trying to manifest as mercy, or we ought to be. So that's just wow. So when you think of it, that it's amazing that there are some of these messages, but they're left there in some mystery. Like it says, well, this is the arus, the bride of the Quran. What does that mean? And it's this sheer force of just fascinating reality, which is also the ultimate femininity in a way, as a bride, the manifestation. And so that's one of the laqabs that people have given, that they say is attributed to Surah Ar-Rahman. Let's take a look at this. So, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Now it begins straight away after Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. It's Ar-Rahman. And like I said, very few surahs in the Quran that can just begin with Allah's name. So Ar-Rahman. And this is in Mecca. Now, why is that also important? Because of the ingratitude that people were displaying. And they said to the Prophet, to almost taunt him, that who's this Rahman? What is this Rahman? They said, Ar-Rahman. Allah takes us to, in reply to them, this whole surah reminds them time and time again, Ar-Rahman is the one that has gifted you this and that, and do you not see this in the world and that, and فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. It begins immediately, it goes into Allama al-Quran, that he taught divine revelation and taught it rhythmically with a rhythm, a Quran, not just a maqru, not just a read speech, but a Quran, a rhythmic scripture. Here Allah takes our attention right back to the origin. خلق الإنسان. He created insan. علمه البيان. This is the defining feature that separates insan from the rest of creation. That it is allamahul bayan. You see, Allah says He taught insan expression. Not kalam, allamahul kalam, taught him speech. Maybe some low-level speech, low-level, existed prior to Homo sapien. Maybe it did at a very low level. I mean, more developed than, if we can call that speech, but more, let's say, very low level. But here it's not that. It's not, you could even get animals to learn some speech. You could get crows mimic human speech fantastically if you watch it on YouTube. Parrots, you could get, you could teach sign language to primates. You can teach animals, many different mammals, different things to understand speech and to respond to it, to act according to it, to even select it where they can. You can teach animals this. Allah never said this. Because it's not that this is not amazing, but it was everywhere. In nature, Allah takes you to the miracle. Allamahul bayan. Taught insan expression. How to express the most complex, the most astronomical, mind-boggling, philosophical conundrums. To envelop them in words and to capitulate them to someone that they manifest as the same idea in the psyche of the listener and evoke the same emotion that you are feeling. I'm feeling overcome with love or joy or sorrow or sadness or melancholy or excitement, and I utter an expression. I bring together words in such a way that when it hits your auditory, when it hits you, it evokes the same experience that I'm going through when I'm saying them. That is nothing short of magic. Nothing short of it. It is such a, and I tell you, till today, this remains such a conundrum that how did expression in language, human language, develop? Because it just does not make any sense. If we did not have language, it would be absurd to assume that language could exist. I mean, what I mean by that is that because we have it, we take it for granted. But if you try to cover your blind spots, the fact that we have this intersubjective reality with words that we've all agreed upon, that are not just, you see, that language is a true synesthesia. You know, synesthesia in psychology is where your senses are mixed up. So it's like you can hear smells, you can see sounds. So this is called synesthesia, okay? And it affects some people as a condition. A very small portion of people can be affected with this as a kind of disorder. But many people have experienced this sometimes on psychedelics. They experience synesthesia. So it's where the internal senses almost cross over. So you can all of a sudden see sound. Now, it sounds absurd to say it, but when people experience it, they can experience it. They know, oh, I did see sound, or I could smell colors, or I could hear shapes, or it doesn't make any sense when we say it. It sounds absurd. But when people experience it, they know, oh, yeah, it happened. And language is that. It is synesthesia in real time. But it's so accepted that we don't even think about it. Because we have a word, like if I say, you know, water or cup or dog, or these things are not, they're not functional kind of, they are, you have the signified and the signifier, you have this attachment which is totally doesn't make any sense. What's the word dog got to do with dog? Like, okay, if you called a dog woof woof, then it would, like a child would, that would make sense. You see, like if you were an alien that didn't have this form of language, expressed language, you would assume that, yeah, that makes sense. To call a cat meow makes sense. But to call a dog dog is, it's basically a synesthesia. It's like saying hearing smells. It doesn't, it's like, what? So that's how it is. So imagine you had a bunch of people that were sharing a synesthesiac experience, let's say. So they would, all of them could, let's say they could see sounds, or they could hear colors, but they could all share in this. To the onlooker, it would be absurd. Like you'd think, but they would make sense to each other. But to you, it'd be like, what on earth are these? How can they even do that? That doesn't. But to them, and synesthesia is a real thing, and many people have experienced it. Just with psychedelics alone, it's actually often experienced with psychedelics. So now, if people have this shared experience, that's what language is like. And here you have it, allamahul bayan. And this is nested, by the way, expression in consciousness. And we'll speak about that another day. I want to speak about this whole with Adam alayhi salam and the cognitive revolution of consciousness, and how Allah chose Adam, and what was made him so special from that perspective, from an evolutionary thing, and this whole, the angels being amazed and almost in disbelief. But we'll speak about that another day. But this is nested in that allamahul bayan. Now it's fascinating here, after Allah brings our attention to insan, خلق الإنسان علمه البيان, then straight shoots it out to the greatest of celestial bodies that captivated the interest and fascination of people. الشمس والقمر بحسبان. Allah. see, because it's going from, well, insan is so amazing, but what about the sun? Does it not have a calculation? Does the moon not have an orbit, a calculation? The sun has an orbit as well. The sun, many people sometimes are unaware, the sun has this orbit where it a rotation. I mean, it has an orbit within its position as a solar system as well. But even its rotation takes, I think, about 27 days where it completely rotates. And so you have this, and our uncovering or learning about the sun and the moon and the celestial bodies continues till this day. And we're so wowed by it. And people used to say, oh, but Allah says all these things all flow in an orbit. And then some people, oh, but the sun doesn't have any. It does. Oh, but you didn't know. It has a rotation and it has a solar orbit. And the solar system itself is flowing through the galaxy. But you did not know. You see, so when people try to find fault, say, oh, but Allah says, kullun fi falaki yasbahun. And Allah says, yasbahun, that they swim in their orbit. That's the word, yasbahun, is to swim. And does that not so brilliantly describe the beauty of how these celestial bodies, how they flow? So, but coming to here, ash-shamsu wal-qamaru bi-husban, that there is husban, that there is a calculation to these things. And we continue to discover, we continue to discover the sun in its, its fourth state as plasma completely, it is just this, it's not never ending, but this source of energy. It's so fascinating. وَالنَّجْمُ وَالشَّجَرُ يَسْجُدَانِ. You see that everything here, and now here, yasjudan doesn't mean that these things are prostrating. People could say, oh, well, do the stars prostrate? Do the trees prostrate? Look, I often ask you that when people ask these kind of questions, I want you to just use common sense and think that did the people did they not know? They knew. So you've got trees. Trees are not going up and down in prostration. Nobody assumes they are. That's not, and it's not just about the winds moving the branches. It's if you're taking a literal completely coming down and prostrating on the ground and getting back up. But that's not what sajda, that's a human manifestation. How do you do sajda? Sujood is about submission. That there is a submission. From out there to the stars in the body, the celestial, these stars that we've got in the cosmos out there, they have contributed in their submission to our very existence. The very formation of life is dependent on stardust. Stars that had to explode and completely annihilate themselves in submission to God for those elements to eventually end up as life on earth. All of our nitrogen and carbon and all of these things. right to the very source of life as well that we see on earth, the trees and the greenery that is responsible for aiding us in the breath that we take, that is the source of life. It is all yasjuda. It is all in submission. But is insan. Allah. Everything but insan. Kya baat hai, kya. That وَالسَّمَاءَ رَفَعَهَا وَوَضَعَ الْمِيزَانَ. That has Allah not raised the skies above, the heavens above? Has He not raised these? Are they not so distant? And raised here doesn't mean, raise them and put them. Are they not so distant from you? They are so distant, and you see this. وَوَضَعَ الْمِيزَانَ. Now this is the point that Allah, after mentioning all of these things, is bringing it to. He has placed a balance. Now you may think, well, but I don't see the balance. It's that tumse na ho paega. This isn't about whether you see it or not. There is a balance. If you go right down into particles, you will find that they will have the anti-particles. That matter will have antimatter. For it to exist, that it would have had, all particles must have these antiparticles. These forces must have the negative forces. There is a balance, even if you do not see it. It is going all around you. One could say in many ways, are they not? One could say almost in different terms, the angelic manifestation of the cosmos. That that things that are invisible but keeping everything together, the forces, these, if we could say, entities, these gluons, these photons, these nothing that we can see, massless particles. Is it really any short, one could say, of an angelic reality? It is but words. Now, وَوَضَعَ الْمِيزَانَ. Allah has established a balance. Now, this all comes to this point. أَلَّا تَطْغَوْا فِي الْمِيزَانِ. Do not upset the balance. Do not transgress. وَأَقِيمُوا الْوَزْنَ بِالْقِسْطِ وَلَا تُخْسِرُوا الْمِيزَانِ. And establish the wazn, the weight, with justice. Now, this is fascinating because on one level, this could be speaking right down to the infinitesimal, that when you're trading with people, when you set the scales, that aqimul wazna bil qist, put the weight justly. You get these videos on these viral clips where people are scamming the public, and this is waylul lil mutaffifin. That's what it is. The people that Allah says destruction to those people that do that. You see these clips where they're conning they've kind of like slightly tipped the scale, or they do this, and there's loads of these viral clips. Utter at a very core, right at the fabric of society. Aqimul wazna bil qist wala tukhsirul. That in your daily lives, don't do this, even if you are tempted. And then you zoom out right into society and life as a whole, and the ethos and ethics and morals, and that aqimul wazna bil qist. Let the balance be there justly, with justice. La tukhsirul mizan. Don't upset that balance of justice. It is so, and by doing so, doing all of this, what are you ultimately doing? You are manifesting mercy on God's earth. And that is that rahmah, it goes right back to Ar-Rahman. Allah. So you see the just beginning this surah within the first few verses, how you immediately are brought in, first of all, in the presence, this awareness of the all merciful, and then showing right through how revelation has come from Ar-Rahman to he has created insan, taught him something that's even more amazing. You may think, oh, the creation creatures are amazing. What about expression? Oh, and you think that's amazing. What about the cosmos? Oh, and you think that's amazing. Yet it's in submission. It is not arrogant. That everything has a place and a setting, a balance. Do not upset this. You zoom right in your day-to-day activities. Don't con that person. Don't be kind. And you zoom out and you have a societal, a civilization perspective of ethics and morals. It's such a beautiful reminder, wallahi. I want to share that with us. What I'll do is I'm going to share out the link, and let's get, if anybody's got some questions. Imam Kazi, Allah bless you. Wedding is Saturday. Oh wow, Imam Kazi is getting married. May Allah bless this journey. Dare I ask, is it the third or the fourth? Or okay, check this out. Surah Ar-Rahman, for some reason, people have it in their minds that as kind of folklore, that they think, oh, if you recite Surah Ar-Rahman, it will result in you getting married. Okay, so that part isn't true. So you get a lot of these questions that sheikhs get, that, oh, if I recite, I'm looking to get married, if I recite Surah Ar-Rahman, will this facilitate me finding a bride? Or it's like, well, not so sure about that, but but the intentions are good. The intentions are good. So you just bring this. All right. So, right. Let me just, you get these updates. They just jump up. They're like, oh, would you like an update? You're like, no, yeah, I'm all right for now. So, but congratulations, Imam Kazi. Congratulations. Allah. He's in Pakistan partying. Let's share the invite. Let me get this. Copy it. Well, at least some of us are enjoying life, shall we say? Living life. Allah, Allah. But yeah. So I've shared the link, and can do is, whilst you guys are clicking that, I'm just going to adjust this. Um, oh, all right. So that should be cool. These right. I hope Imam Kazi is not marrying Imam Kazi's Kazi. Yeah, I think. I hope. Yeah, I think people need to branch out. There's so many different cultures and different. Why not explore a little? थोड़ा थोड़ा बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं तो थोड़ा-थोड़ा. If not a lot, then a little at least. One should branch out and explore a bit. What is the you should have a bit of that Ibn Battuta spirit about you to but I guess even or if it is going to be the same, there's nothing wrong with the same cultures and sometimes and that has its own fun and its own as you can imagine. Um but just correct this. All right. So but you can still I yeah, I wouldn't really advise relatives or cousins and that kind of stuff that goes on. I would say slightly farther afield at the minimum. And yeah. Mhm. Moody just said, I just got engaged to my cousin. Well, Moody, you know, if it doesn't work out, on the bright side, you can say to her, if it doesn't work out, you can say on the bright side, we'll still be cousins. Oh my god. You know what? I don't know. I guess if it's all done, then it's all done. Otherwise, I don't know, man. This whole cousin thing, and it does. And the problem is that within there's a show. It's on Netflix actually. I watched a bit of it. Um, it's called Marrying Cousins or Cousin Marriages or something. But if you type in cousins, it'll come up, and cousin weddings or something. And it's it's in the UK. It's based in the UK, like a documentary. But it's oh my! I had to. It was just so difficult to watch. I couldn't really go on because it's just showing the amount of because it's not just marrying cousins. You see, because in many cultures they may marry cousins, but it's the fact like in the ancient Greek um philosophy when he says when they say, well, what's the world on, and they say it's on this, and what's that on, and that's resting on this, and it's on, and that's on a turtle. The famous, and they say, well, what's the turtle on? And say, well, the turtle's on another turtle, and say, well, what's that turtle on? And he says, it's just turtles all the way down. It's a very famous right thing. I'll bring it up actually. There it is. Um, it was. I was just trying to. I was trying to see who it kind of goes back to, but it's just speaking of infinite regress, the same thing. Turtles all the way down. I was trying to see who was the expression by in its origin. Um, I don't know. Um, Nevertheless, so the issue is not cousins. It's just that it seems to be cousins all the way down. That is a problem. So if in certain families people are all branching out and they marry farther afield and farther afield, and so let's say the mom and dad are completely separate from totally different, different villages, different people. They have kids. The brother marries somebody else from a totally different thing. He has kids. Now, let's say their kids happen to get married. Now there's so much diversity in that, in that DNA pool, that's okay. That wouldn't, inshallah, that wouldn't cause um issues, inshallah. But the problem is when, let's say, this couple get married and their cousins and the brothers, and so this brother and this brother marry that sister and that sister, and their cousins to start off with, and their parents were cousins and their parents were cousins, and they have kids and make them. Now the DNA in this instance is just basically staring itself in the mirror. It doesn't have much maneuverability. So that's a recipe for disaster. Like, that offspring will be incredibly weak genetically, and they will not be, and there's a great chance that they will suffer with a lot of either apparent or hidden kind of defects. So that's the issue. So yeah, it's not just one or two, because many cultures do marry the cousins, like some Arabs do it as well, but it's not, they don't always do it. Like, they'll branch out quite a bit as well. So there's so much diversity. And I think what had happened in the Indian kind of South Asian diaspora was that they just kept it within and within and within, and it just started to intensify. Yeah. Right. So, okay, that's unfortunately anyone like that can't stand you. But, and I don't mean this in a way to kind of pick on people, or may Allah make it easy for them. I mean, but it's difficult, because there were these statistics or something saying that Pakistanis make up in the UK, that newborns, that babies, each year, I think, make up something like 3% of all babies that are born, or maybe it's 3 or 4% of all babies that are born in the UK are Pakistani, and each year. But from all disabled babies, I think Pakistanis had 50% or something, and that's, at that stage, the science is, it's what it's telling you is making sense. It's not something, people have to take heed. May Allah make things easy, and may make it easy for all people who are struggling. But the younger generation, I think they should really just be, I doubt it. I don't know, I can't really see them being so subservient to saying, well, yeah, let's go marry my cousin in Pakistan who looks just like me. It's like my mate would say. He's a great friend of mine, very close to me, right? So this is Tariq, may Allah bless him always. So I remember him once years ago. He was telling us all. He goes, "Oh, I was gonna." My family said, "Oh, let's go to Pakistan, and we're gonna arrange your marriage to your cousin." And he's like, "I said, well, I was young," and I said, "Oh, all right then." And I went there, and he goes, and I said, "Oh yeah, wow, she's beautiful." And I go, "Okay." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "She looked just like me, but with really long hair." So it's just looking in the mirror, except you have longer hair. You're like, oh, that was so funny. So yeah, so that's that. This one not nice, man. This one, there are a lot of, but another piece of advice, since we're on the topic, I'd say, and I'll address this another time in more detail. But I think this is in the UK especially, because this is in America slightly different, and they have a slightly different culture. Not slightly, they have a different. So in the UK, I would say that it's really important when you do one that you try to marry at least slightly farther afield, and secondly, when you do get married, that you leave the nest. Okay, it is too important to leave the nest. Do not, this staying at home business. It's it's a car crash in slow motion. That's all you're watching. It's just a car crash. And you will so infinitely regret it. And it will just ruin that first it'll just ruin this whole. Can you imagine the early time that's supposed to be all the honeymoon phase? And it's got to be a nightmare, really. How do people? I don't, because can you imagine just even staying in the whole? It's like your parents are in the next room. It's like, "Sharam karo yaar." It's like everything would be on mute. It would be. What kind of a life would that? In case your parents wake up at night and they go, huh? Acha, 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 acha. It's like, beta is, acha, mashallah, mashallah. The whole thing, I think it's just, and it's so, and you just can't grow as people. You genuinely can't. Yeah, and some cultures they have that. That's more so Arab cultures have that they have this, which is such a Jahili custom that the girl. I don't know if they do it in the West, but in the Arab countries they tend to do it, and I think people are obviously moving away from it, Alhamdulillah. But where they have to prove that she was a virgin, so and the way they prove it is they're in the house and the guy and the girl have to go in the room to perform the the deed as one must, with everybody right there and people right outside the door. So you've got all these aunties and all these people literally outside the door, and then when he's finished the holy uh the holy union, they have to hand out the sheet, the bed sheet. Can you imagine that? And with all the yes, salam, with the they want to see they say it's basically like Saw, the movie Jigsaw, the Saw. It's like let there be blood, and that's the the thing that they. I mean, how ridiculously absurd does it get that you've got people all outside the door waiting, and then when they pass the cloth out, then they do all the and they do all the whoa, the deed is done. And you think, what? How does that even, oh my God. Wow, that's like another level of just mind twisted cultural phenomena. Right, so yeah, that is very jahili, traumatizing I think it's traumatizing for everyone, for the woman definitely, and for the even I think it'd just be so weird. Everybody would just be like, okay, for their sake, it better not be a marathon. It's like, I'd be like, what the hell's all that going on in there? It's like, and then there's just blood and blood. And they're like, are they expecting a dead body or something? It's like, what the hell? Ya salam. May Allah grant some maturity to these people. Ameen. Ameen. Honestly, Jahiliyyah customs have no place in Islam. And Islam should really, it should have weeded out all of these absurd and ridiculous practices. So, plot twist, the ex comes by with a bloody sheet. It's crazy. Yeah. So, right, people, I've shared here's the thing. But we can do a session one of the times on relationships, just focusing, zeroing in on just relationship advice and, well, I don't know if advice, but guidance, I guess. But yeah, because I really think it's so important to leave the nest and to fly away. even if they are unhappy with it, but it's so important. Somebody sent a super chat. Let me check. Have I missed it? Has it gone? Desi edits. When will Muslims let go of their homophobic hang up? First of all, shukran for the super chat. Right. Yeah, I think, look, these things are going to take a kind of a cultural, like there has to be a maturity process that takes place, which is happening. It is happening. I think there's a difference between, you see, what a person's opinion can be on something. You see, Islam, it teaches you many things. Now, a person may say, look, I disagree with a certain act, or this thing is, they may feel it's not good. And that's, let's say, the opinion they believe. Like, take gambling. Let's take gambling. Now, the Quran does not mention homosexuality. It's not mentioned as a directive like that. It's mentioned within, I guess, the context of the people of Lut alayhi salam, within that context. But what's also mentioned in that context is more so how they treat their prophet and reject him. And so, which would have been the greater concern for denying the message and the messenger, and the secondary thing would have been their actions. So it's like the Israelites, for example, their actions are mentioned, but the the importance is on whether they accept the messenger. So when they deny the messenger, that's the primary focus. So homosexuality isn't directly a topic within the Quran. It's mentioned as a secondary issue when it comes to the people of Lut alayhi salam. Otherwise, on its own, it's not mentioned. Now, you take something like gambling. Now, this is mentioned in the Quran very clearly. It's mentioned that this is rijsun min amal shaitan, and it's very clear kind of words. These are things that are mentioned. Now, and you can understand, let's say, gambling is something that's harmful, and it does this or it does that, and maybe some societies don't deem it. They may say, well, it's okay, it's healthy if it's done like this or it's like that. Now, many Muslims can differentiate there when it comes to this clear ruling of the Quran on gambling. They can clearly differentiate between the what is being mentioned as the don't do to with differentiate between that and the person. So they may say, look, somebody may say, I believe gambling is haram and I dislike it. Oh, I can't stand it, let's say, or I dislike it. But it doesn't mean they hate gamblers. So you don't get these people walking around outside every time they go past somebody coming out because, oh, I hate that person. Oh, I hate that person. I can't stand that. No, I don't think Muslims, generally speaking, react in that way at all to gambling. I think they recognize that, okay, they say, well, look, gambling, this is what Islam says about gambling. We don't gamble, or this is our belief, or this is what I teach my kids, and this is what, but they don't carry this energy of hatred towards the people, especially if the people believed, like, let's say here, people believe gambling is fine. It's not illegal. It's not, obviously, it's licensed and regulated and all of that. But so people who do it of their own, it's their free will, it's their choice. People who live here are generally not Muslim anyway. So people walking past don't, and Muslims don't usually, I don't know, I've not come across Muslims hating on gamblers, for example, saying, oh, I hate gamblers, I hate gamblers. Maybe gambling, they might say, oh, well, this is not good, or this is our belief towards gambling, and this is what it is. But they don't carry and that's the maturity mark, differentiating. That you may look, people who have a belief that, okay, that's your belief about something. It's not about the people. And remember, people are always free. And people here are not Muslim. And you shouldn't have this. You're not here. I often remind people about Imam Malik, and it's in the Mudawwana that he is asked, and he's a great Imam in his age with immense uh, loci of influence if he wants to exercise it. I mean, he's in his lifetime, people in Muslim Spain had started adhering to his interpretations of Islam. So you can see his locus of influence, how far it's going. So in his time, he is asked about Muslims that have now are in powerful positions surrounding the Zoroastrian communities, the Majusis. So one of the popular marriages that the Majusi um, settlers had historically, one of them, not all, they had, I believe, 5 different popular marriage types, customs, but one of them was incest marriages. So they would marry their own sisters, their own fathers, their own daughters, their own mothers. They would marry direct, immediate, nuclear family. That's what they would do. One of the marriages. So it didn't mean everybody was doing that, but it wasn't uncommon either. So this nikahul akhawat or nikahul ummahat or nikahul banat, it was known. So when the Muslims came across this, they were quite shocked. And now they were in a position of power. So they ask Imam Malik, Hal na'aridu lahum? When we find out that this person is about to marry his sister, his mother, his daughter, she's about to marry her dad, her brother, her son, should we interfere given that we can? And Imam Malik's fatwa was la, no. He said, if that's their way of life, that's their way of life. Imam Malik, and this is the alim of Medina. He said, Allah has taught us in the Quran that the greatest of things is shirk. People denying God. And yet he's even tolerated that. As in he hasn't told us to go and force people to worship him. So people who deny God has refused to express this kind of, or to force them, or to interfere with their way of life in using any power or any kind of. He forbade that in the Quran. So Imam Malik said that that is akbar, it is greater than min nikah al-akhawat wa ummahat and all this incest. And he said, so if this is their way of life, this is their way of life. Sure, if they ask you, you can show your way of life, and you can be a beacon of exemplary behavior that people can say, wow, I want to be like these people. Why are these people always so positive? Whenever I look at these people, they're just full of love. And what is it about these people? I want to be like them. This is the hadith, you see, when people mix up that when the Prophet would send the companions, and they would say, there's this transmission that kunu mithlana, be like us. It wasn't that be like, because why were the people so in awe of the believers, the first community that went? It wasn't because, these people were somehow superior. They weren't superior. Muslims were actually very simple in the early community. They didn't, have much opulence and wealth, and they were very content people. And this is what struck people. That, they don't have the dunya. They don't have, it seems so content and happy. It seems so positive and loving. It seems so caring. What is it? What do you guys have? They would say, and the thing about positive people, you'll see that happiness follows after them. And it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy that if you want to say good luck, not that it's actually good luck, but good things come their way. And people get curious that what do you have? Where's your God? We will show it to us. We want to keep a little statue like this for good luck as well. You get, oh, your crops grow and your this happens. And where's your statue? I want a good luck omen. So we don't believe in these things. Allah is one. Rabbuna Allahu Ahad. And people were really in awe of this. This is where you become a beacon of people say, wow, I want to be like that person. So yeah, I hope that helps. Right. Right. I want to. All right. Okay. So people, I'll share the link. Anybody wants to jump on. Otherwise, we can wrap this up for today. And somebody said about Islamic philosophy or something. I think I missed the question. Did I find any Mufti Saab, did you find any possibility to interview Western academics about Islamic history, archaeology, and seerah? Sure. I mean, speak to them and let me know if you know any people that are interesting. Usually, two things: if they're interesting and interested, let me know. And yes, of course, we can, inshallah, make this happen. What is this Lizzie Truss fuss? In Liz we trust, huh? We do not trust any of these people. So basically, it's the whole race going on in the UK for who's going to be the next PM, Prime Minister, and is it between Sunak and Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss? And to be honest, they're both as bad as each other. It's not. It is a shame. On that note, I want to. I shared this clip on my story as well. By the way, if you don't follow my Instagram thing, do follow it. I try to, on my stories, I try to share just positive things and, just, I think there's enough in the world as it is. And if we can bring a smile to people's faces, that's, we've done something in that day. And, but I shared this thing, I saw it, and it was just heart wrenching. It was like a post shared by the Lad Bible, and it had this 71-year-old man who was said he said, I live in my car. Shame on the government at 71. It's heart wrenching, honestly, that this is the problem with they're all the same. It's whether it's going to be this Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak, or whether it was going to be whoever, the Boris. The whole thing with this government is that it's stepped away from really caring about people, and it does care for the elite rich. You had this clip going viral of Rishi Sunak saying that, look, I'm going to do more to stop our funds going towards these community issues, and I'm going to, so they get spent more in these affluent areas. And there was this kind of clip that was viral, and it was just a shame that this is what it is, I guess. And I know people, there's this huge thing with the cost of living, energy prices, and it's just not fair because the UK is not being fair. Let's be honest. They're saying, oh, well, the war in Ukraine. But UK energy, only 6%, I believe, is it's from the it's from it's from gas. So and a huge percent of the UK energy now, the electricity, is through renewable sources, and they've got nuclear, generative power. They've got other capabilities that they didn't have decades ago. So when they set these prices, so in the past, the energy pricing in the UK, the electricity was pegged on the gas. So they've had, and it's in legislation that they've got it like that. So the prices were kind of pegged in a way to have um, some form of symmetry in some sense. Now, so what's happening is they continue to raise the price of gas because of the Ukraine-Russia war, but the time has changed. So gas is not actually what. First of all, it's a tiny portion of the energy consumption in the UK. Secondly, most of the energy consumption is no longer based on gas accessibility, and it's based on renewable sources and other means which are very cost effective for the UK government. But they're still charging the rates at the gas rates because it's locked into prior legislation. And they just don't give a damn. The truth is they just simply don't care. It's like it's interesting. There was this clip going around of Hancock raising this, saying that, look, and it's like interesting times when you agree with these people all of a sudden. He goes, well, look, why are they pricing them based on gas? That everything has changed. And then they said, well, but isn't that legislation? And he goes, yeah, but they should change the legislation. And they're like, yeah, but that could take years. Can you hear that? That could take years to change the legislation. It's like, why does it take years? You've got people, you have a duty to people, but they don't care about I guess it's the thing, isn't it? Very few people have cared about the lower, the strata of society. It's always really just about the middle classes, the upper middle class, and the elite circles of society. That's what it's about. So may Allah make things easy. Ameen. I think it's also a reminder to us all that just to be kind. People are fighting a difficult battle. That manifestation of mercy. Ameen. And I know this is all over as well in the world. Somebody says democracy failed. I feel that to an extent, democracy is it. You see, democracy is elusive. Okay, and by that I mean elusive from illusion. So you could have elusive. Chalo, English lesson. Elusive, elusive with an e, and allusive with an a. So, there's like a subtle overlap in all of these meanings, but elusive from illusion, and from to elude, to be something difficult to grasp, although it's not an illusion, it's something difficult to grasp, and allusive as in something that is alleged, almost like in that sense. But here, elusively, that it's quite an illusion. I think that the people, they don't really get much of a say. I agree it's probably the best, it's one of the best of the lot on the table, but it's not truly democratic, is it? They need to democratize truly. They need to come up with a way to truly democratize democracy, because it remains non-democratic, really. It's set up in a way to give you the illusion of choice. Yeah. Yeah, if few powerful disagree, they don't make any changes. And often the powerful, you see, the people who are parliamentarians and politicians usually are from a certain class of, and strata of society that they are not really fussed. They have a lot more in common sometimes than they do. And then you had people that did care, like Jeremy Corbyn, but nobody, this was the thing. I guess the thing with Jeremy Corbyn was he didn't have that charm and charisma, and society is just, it's the scaremongering that say, oh my god, he's going to turn this into some kind of a communist state. It's like, for the love of god, I scaremongering. Right, you know what, let's I've shared the link. I'll take on 1-2 people and then we'll wrap it up. There's I can see what there isn't somebody. Sayyid, if you could switch on your camera. We've got Ashiq Ar-Rahman. You know what, I have to, let me switch this on first. Okay, people, get ready for takeoff. Is this connecting? Abiqa ho raha hai. Right, so all right, this is all right, so that's not knocked the whole thing. You know what, right, let me straighten this and then I'll straighten that. Right, this ain't connecting, which means it's connected to too many other devices. Let me disconnect these devices. 1 second. Checking that we've got this. Let's see if it connects now. Okay, it seems to state that it's connected. I just got to do an audio check. Audio check, test. Okay, that's playing. All right, so Ashiq Ar-Rahman.
Assalamu
Assalamu alaikum.
Mufti, how are you doing?
I'm good, I'm good. Ashiq ji, kya hal chal?
हालत ना गुफ्तनी है आपने पूछा
मेहरबानी की, क्या बात है, क्या बात है, क्या बात है.
I
That's
really missed you, Mufti.
shukran, shukran. Allah bless you. Allah bless you always. I mean,
In
so
this busy life, I remembered you a lot.
Allah, what's been going on, Yar Ashik? It seems, is there trouble in paradise?
Uh,
Is there some trouble with Ma'shuqa Sahiba?
no, exams are coming next
Oh,
Sunday.
exams are coming. Allah, yassar Allah. Huh? Exams in many ways are like a
Unfair.
metaphor for life. Huh?
I think the most unfair thing in the history is exams.
Wow. Okay. Why do you feel that? That's interesting.
Like in my country, like they based your whole performance based on one single exam, which helps in a year, and
That's
everything
true,
that
actually. Hmm.
is so unfair. You can't do justice with it. It's disappointing, really.
Yeah, it is true. And the other thing is that we are in society, we are judged on certain intelligences only. There's this whole, I remember there was this really powerful picture, like a meme, quite old, that had all these animals. And it said, okay, today we're going to, today's test. So it had like an elephant and it had a cow and it had like a monkey and it had like a fish and it said, okay, so today's test is, like I said, we're going to climb a tree. and we're going to be, you can't, and like the moral of it was trying to say that if the education system is designed to test a particular skill set, it's not that other people are necessarily failures, but maybe they're good at different things, which are a different skill set that just isn't this skill set. So just because an elephant can't climb a tree or the fish can't climb a tree, it doesn't mean that they are useless, but that they have their own fields in which they excel. So, yeah.
And
Right. So,
unfortunately, where when I did my best efforts on maths, but result was terrible in math.
in maths.
Yeah, yeah, I got all the questions common in the exam, but I still didn't get.
Well, fundamentally, as long as you don't mix up that there's just one God, as long as you don't get the maths wrong there, then there's still hope. If you go like, if you start saying, well, how many gods are there? And you go like, फिर गड़बड़ है यार, थोड़ा problem है problem. But otherwise, I think you'll
Yeah,
somehow. What is this? Is this like is this your college exam or high school or
university, university.
university? See, it's just that radiance of youthful look. I'm thinking, yeah, you're doing maths at university.
I'm doing computer science engineering, so I'm in the first year. So you have to do some basic courses. Like first
Okay,
1 year, you have to do some courses that every student uh, needs to have. Then
okay,
after from second year, you get the main courses of computer science engineering.
okay. That's
Trash,
good. That's
education is trash. Bangladesh is trash.
stressed
Like
out.
waste of money. Waste of money.
Okay. कोई
But we have
बात नहीं यार. When you're totally stressed out, just chill out one of the days, listen to a bit of John Elia, a bit of Shairi, and just relax, just unwind into the evening. Allah. Sometimes I tell you, with tests, it's interesting because sometimes it's the nerves that um that like I'll give you an example. Like there's been times in my life where I've I remember I've done some exams, yeah, and I've been training so hard before the exam, and I learned the stuff, to be fair, but I had to learn references and all these things, and I made these flashcards. This is years ago. Yeah, I made these kind of with all these notes and this reference and this year and this and all these, and I had these bunch of these. And I remember I had to go to the exam hall, and the day this, so it was going to take me something like an hour to get there. I was going to be on the bus, and then I get there, and I still was going to be there, let's say almost half an hour to an hour early as well, so I've got a bit of time to just refresh my notes. And I remember setting off, and I've forgotten the flashcards. So I'm on the second bus, and so it's too late now. I can't go back. And I'm like, "Where's the flashcards? Where's the flashcards?" And I'm panicking, and and I was like, oh my god, was it this? Was it that? Was this the year? Was that the year? I was just like, oh, and 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 then all of a sudden my mind just went blank, and I couldn't remember anything. And I thought, yes, salam. I thought I remember, and I think I kind of panicked a bit, thinking I can't remember anything. My mind's gone just blank, and um, I went into the exam hall, and I remember when I sat there. You see, at a point, I kind of like just
visualize.
calmed my nerves, and all right, go. Like you have to, like I think you it's a bit like what I was speaking earlier on about that mind state, this peak states of mind, this kind of state of flow, that if you can get anywhere close to a right state of mind, you start performing in ways that you surprise yourself. and I give that example of where I became this. But in the exam hall, I did at one point, because first I started kind of, when I got the exam, I was like, oh, I don't remember this, I don't remember. And then I remember thinking, look, just calm, let's go, and just
Yeah.
starting. But there was that, and I tell you that I contrast it with another example where we had this exam, and we had like so much to. Obviously, we've done the stuff, but we've got so much to go over, revise. Be like this, know it like that, and the night before we were supposed to be
Wasn't
doing
it
all of this.
Mufti in madrasa? Your madrasa?
so some of these are examples are from madrasa, some of them are from uni, some of them like my psychology degree. But there was this one particular time where the night before we were just like, you know what, like I remember that we had an opportunity to watch this movie. So we're like, yeah, chalo yaar, film dekhte hain yaar. So we start watching this movie, and then the movie was just so good. We were so into the movie. Then we're like, you know what? Yeah, this is so comfortable. Let's watch another movie. So we just chill.
Fall into the mood.
Then we were like, you know what? Let's get something to just chill. Why don't we eat something? Why don't we kind of have some snacks? Why don't we go drink something? Like have some tea, we'll chill. And then so much of the night is gone and you're so relaxed, you don't feel like now revising
That,
anything. And so I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter, man. Don't worry about it. I just had this thing that don't worry about it. Like, we got this. And it's that state of mind. I'm telling you, without any revision, I remember going into that exam. And I must have smashed the exam. I did like so well, but I'm telling you, more than anything, it's often a state of mind. Like when you have this assumed air of confidence, you just do so well. And sometimes the answers come to you from places you don't even think. You think like, yeah, acha, how did I come up with that answer? You surprise yourself. But and sometimes you could be working so hard, like I gave the other example, but you panic, and because you're like a bag of nerves, and you're like, oh, and you can't remember anything, so sometimes it's just better to just kick back and watch a movie and
yeah.
and just say, don't worry about it, man. Tawakkulan ala Allah.
Yeah,
So
this happened a lot. Like, ah, kuch ho jayega. Kuch,
yeah, there's
फिर
that he
फिर
says
कायनात
फिर कायनात.
फिर पूरी कायनात कोशिश करने लगता है कि सब हमारे
Yeah, there's that poem that Sazish mein lag jati. There's the it's a good one actually. Shah Rukh Khan says it, that it's that
इतनी
the whole
शिद्दत से
universe comes together to conspires together to make things happen. But it's true. You gotta, sometimes in life, it's you just gotta go with it. You can't, there's that, speaking of poems, that chahe gham se guzro ya guzro khushi se, jahan se guzro par guzro apni khushi se.
yeah,
It's like that, whether you have to face joy or sorrow, that whatever it is, that do it joyfully of your own will. Like, you've got to do it anyway. So in a
yeah,
way,
when you have to go, you have to go then.
that's it, yeah. So in a way, why not smiling? Because it's gotta be done. There's no, so chalo. It's, yeah, and I think sometimes when you have that spirit, that look, I'll tell you, with an exam, I'll give you another scenario as well. Chalo yaar, exam ki baat ho rahi. I'll share another incident. So
I have a terrible story about my exam.
this is a story from one of my years when I was doing. So I was doing this psychology degree, and on this one year, so it took me. I did it part time when I did my psychology degree. So I was working and I was doing it on the side, and um, so you could do it part time in. I think I took 6 years to do it or something, but I was aiming to do it in. So yeah, I think I took 5 or 6 years. I can't remember, because I did it on a part time kind of scale. So you could choose the kind of modules you want to do in the year. In the UK, we had this open university. It's absolutely great, man. Honestly, I can't recommend them enough. So helpful. But so yeah, when I was doing that, my is a bachelor's in science, BSc psychology. So one of the years, that year was so hectic. Like I began the year, so the year I remember, so the first 1 2 months we began, like we did first month, I was obviously focused studying. Second month, I was studying a bit, got a bit distracted, and then so much happened that year. I just could not study. I had all the books. I just didn't get through any more. Like I did the first month. So let's say there were 9 months of whatever it was, the study. I did the first month. I did most of the second month, let's say. And then that's it. I got so distracted with work. This started to happen. There were other issues going on. I remember I'd qualified as an examiner that year, and that got so burdensome. And these other kind of things, personal things, were going on in my life. I was dealing with that, and I was just all over the place, honestly. And before I knew it, the whole almost year had come to an end. So the academic year, it come to an end, and we were going to have exams. And we had something like I think there was, so I booked myself. I don't know why I did this. I booked myself into one of the final tutorials. You can go to a tutorial. So I just booked myself in, and it must have been about, I think maybe it was less than 3 weeks. It was about 2.5 weeks away from the exam, something like that. And I went there, and I don't even know why I went, because I was just delusional, I think, because I knew that. So I went there, and I'm thinking to myself, I haven't studied this whole book. I haven't studied this whole book with all these modules in there and topics, and I haven't done this, and you had to catch up on this. And I thought, you know what? I turned up. So I think we had just under 3 weeks left, 2.5 weeks or something. And the tutor is talking, and they made a comment. They said that, look, let's just be real. They were supposed to be revising, and they go, let's be real. Anybody who hasn't studied this material, I'm just telling you now, there is no way on earth you can. Let's just be real, that you can move forward to do this exam. Like there is no way you can learn it now. They just said, I'm just being very real with you. If you haven't done it, then it is impossible that you will now be able to learn it. And I don't know, with those words, this kind of zid emerged in me, right? This kind of out of nowhere, this kind of, I don't know whether it was a stubborn notion that just leapt into my consciousness that said,
Like
you know what?
it was the state to prove something wrong. Like,
I said, you know what? Okay, game on.
hmm,
I've got 3 weeks. I'm gonna do this. I spent day and night. Honestly, I went over, I've revised, I used my techniques before. So what I would do is each chapter before beginning it, what I first do is I go through just all main subheadings, read them out aloud to myself. I read the summary at the end. Then I flick through, stop randomly. Like if I see anything interesting, I just highlight, stop it, then I leave it. Might go have a cup of tea. I come back, now I read. Then I read it because I've already picked up on maybe some of the keywords, the summary. I've seen the chapter headings. I have expectations. As I read, speed reading, what I was doing, I was making audio notes. I would go, okay, so if I read something interesting, like let's say it said, I don't know, Rosenhan did this experiment in, let's say, 1973. I did, okay, this experiment, little brief thing. Okay, note done, and left a little title for that note. Next note, I would go on to the next thing. I'm telling you, and then what I would do is, as I would move on, the next chapters, when I'm driving, I'd put my earphones in, I'd play. If I'm going to the gym, I'd play my notes. I was just working out in the gym. I was playing those 2 to 3 weeks, I just glued myself And so, wallahi, it comes from Allah tawfiq. But it came to it, I sat the exam and I passed it. And I knew the stuff. It was, sometimes there is something about the human spirit that, it just needs to come to that biting point though.
See,
It's like insan when he gets on that atak jata hai on something. He has this that no, I will now do it. Now, I will move, whether it's, move mountains to get this done now. And at that stage, but then obviously sometimes you want to be in that stage and state and it doesn't have. That's also the fitrah of insan. Sometimes you're like, yeah, if only I can do this. You're like, no, oh, let's leave it today. Oh God.
you
Oh,
don't enough
yeah,
to.
that's it. There is a rebellion, yeah. That's the word. There is that. But I don't advise doing that,
Hmm?
taking that route. It's a very, the
Yeah,
best is to enjoy if you can, and to space out your studies. And the best thing is, if when you finish chapters, try to discuss them with people, with friends, or key things. Try to just talk about them to yourself. Then, like, summarize them to yourself when you're doing something. Like, maybe you're driving or you're walking somewhere, and okay, you might look a bit like a lunatic if you're just walking, talking to yourself. So maybe in your own room, then you just explain to yourself, explain it. And if you can't explain it, you don't understand it. So, or if you're speaking to a friend, try and make it a bit interesting. Like, imagine you're speaking to friends, hey, check this out. I heard this really crazy thing in mathematics the other day, that it
I
said
need that.
something like this. And you make it a point of conversation. And so what it does is it brings it to life. And I guarantee you won't forget that thing you've learnt then. Yeah.
Since the title is Mercy as Manifestation, I wanna,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I wanna talk about like using Nairobi, like
Sorry, say that again.
manifesting as a divine extension.
Yeah, I guess we in this world, it's interesting. Insan in this world is because Allah sets about things through asbab. This dunya is a daru asbab. Allah has set causes into play. And sometimes we are the cause.
Yeah,
Maybe sometimes Allah is feeding people through you. Maybe sometimes Allah is guiding people through you. Maybe sometimes Allah is bringing a smile to someone's face through you. Maybe sometimes Allah is consoling someone through you. Maybe He's helping someone through you. Like, you don't, like, you want to be that force. You don't want to be the one of harm. And I guess we all ultimately are, it's a push pull. We all, nobody is ultimately a pure source of good. But we try, we try. I guess that's the,
there's, there is a hadith you often mention that you become so close to the divine
yeah,
that he sees like
through your eyes.
see through his eyes.
And he seizes through his hands, or through her hands, and he becomes the feet by which this person walks. And that, as in,
I,
yeah,
if I
it's,
did, 2 years before, I would like no, but now I can understand. That. Yeah,
there is this, I tell you, one of the things that is so amazing is this, the divine mystery, this mysterium tremendum, this mystery of God, that it kind of terrifies us yet fascinates us. We always, and terrifies here is like, it's not about like scaring, terrifying, but you are in awe of. It's a bit like how we always say Allah Jalla Jalalu, that
like
His
overpowering.
Jalal. This is the mysterium tremendum. And then there's it kind of, it has this effect on us, et fascinans, and it also fascinates you, pulls you in. This is, yeah. And it is true that, look, our relationship, our in life, we will, inshallah, we continue to grow, continue to develop. It's true, we wouldn't be, if we look at ourselves 2 years ago, 3 years ago, like you said, we may be different people, but that's part of the journey then. That's part of the journey.
I'm happy. I'm happy about that. I'm maturing enough.
You're very, I love the speed at which you're maturing, Ashik Ar-Rahman. Honestly, you're so young and so ahead of your time. I don't think I was a fraction of that maturity when I was that age. I honestly, I don't. I think I was abysmal. I think I was. When I think back of myself as probably what are you like? Maybe 20, 21 or something.
I'm gonna
So
hit 22 this
22,
September.
yeah. So I'm now 43. So if I think back, so almost over 2 decades ago when I was 20 or 21 or 20, I don't think I could stand the me from then. I think I'd want to kind of go. I think I'd be so. I think that me to the me now would be so annoying. Like I would, and embarrassingly annoying. I think so. This is how I think. I mean, I'm not ashamed of the me then because I think it's all, part of the journey. But I think I would be very, I don't think I would like to be in that company now. Like if I could have that me now to talk to, I think I'd be just, that would be a nightmare. So, but this is a reflection of how we also need to exercise sabr with people because everybody's on their own journey, and age isn't a true reflector of where they are on the journey. It's just they're at different places. Some people might be, you could be half the age of someone who, and yet double their maturity. I mean, it would be a shame, but I'm sure there's many people like that. So, yeah.
That me
So, yeah,
also,
baat hai.
yeah, that me also help to open some portal easily. Like, uh, if that version of me was there, it wouldn't be accessible. Like, you have to be so confident, like ignorantly confident sometimes to really
Yeah.
get in
Hmm.
space.
That is youth does that though, and when you're you have that, it's a bit like it's that Dunning-Kruger effect in psychology that you see the less you know, the more confident you are.
Mm.
It's like the more sure of it you are. This is why people who often uh, are stupid, not to kind of degrade them, but let's say they're not so intelligent, they're often so certain of themselves. And people
Yeah,
who, the more intelligent they are, the less certain they are, because they come to realize, well, things, they're not always that clear. So maybe they come to realize that maybe what I know might still change. And so they become less sure. And this is why they become less convincing to the common people, because somebody could be not as intelligent and gifted in that way and actually quite, let's say, just stupid, but because they so sure of it, it's like Trump, the way he would speak would appeal to the masses because he would just come across so sure. He would just be, he'd come across very simple. Yes, I know him. Great guy, wonderful job. Elon Musk builds rockets, sends them to space. Great guy. It's just, it
like,
just speaks. Coronavirus, COVID.
yeah,
Yep. We're
yeah.
gonna bleach it out. We're gonna bleach it out. Yep. It's yeah.
Yeah,
So
and people love that. Like if you
yeah.
contrast between Jordan Peterson and Andrew Tate, and
Oh, Andrew
he,
Tate's an interesting one. Yeah.
on the other hand, Jordan Peterson is like very academic, very well
Mm.
researched person.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
he's talking in a way that like he's maintaining gaps between them. That look,
Yeah.
there is a context, there is a reason behind it, and it varies from. And on the other hand, Andrew Tate is like so confident, and people
Yeah.
love. Like people love that ignorant confidence the other person have. Like
Yeah.
they have really a
It is so
sense of.
true because the thing with, yeah, like people like Andrew Tate, it's that
He got
he,
something about him, but the way he
yeah, he
desensitizing
presents it
the.
with so much certainty that
Yeah,
he's so sure of himself. And in fact, you know, what's happened now, him being censored, um, which to be fair, my personal opinion on censorship is I'm not so happy with just censorship like that because I feel in that sense, because I feel that that's like it's not, because it's not fair in a way, because you're saying, well, everybody else can say the things, but okay,
yeah,
even though he said crazy things as well, but because he got, let's say, so popular, he managed to figure out the algorithm. So in that case, everybody's going to block him. It had me curious because I tell you one thing, it had me curious that why would they block him? And because I just refuse to believe that the reason they blocked him is because they actually care about women. I don't buy that. Like, I don't think these corporations, like, sure, they're not, I'm sure they don't hate women, but they're not that fussed either. They're just conglomerate, corporations that are just interested in money and in things like that. To tell me that the reason that they took this move, together, in cooperation, in tandem with one another, was simply because they were so moved by the fact that they felt the rights, or that this person was offensive to women. Now this, I don't know, I don't buy that. So it has me wondering, I wonder what the real reason was that they actually agreed to blocking him, because you've got corporations like TikTok, which is China, which is right now at loggerheads with the United States. So over Taiwan, why would they even agree? I mean, TikTok has been in the past pushed to be banned in the West because of how it's collecting data for the Chinese government. So why would they agree with places like, and they're atrocious on human rights issues? I mean, do they really care? So it made me think, I wonder what the real agenda is, that why. Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering. I don't know. Like, I just find it. I don't know what it could be, but I don't. But I just find this difficult to buy. That the real reason is that they just all got sincere and thought, "Oh, we really care about these people." And Andrew Tate has said this, because look, nothing Andrew Tate has said has not been said already. And what about rappers? What about drill music? What about this killing
like he
of people?
says,
And what about,
he
you
says,
get? Yeah,
like he says in a way in such a confident manner and such a ignorant way. Like he does, like if anyone says something other than it, like he will take his 100% effort to disagree with.
yeah. And I think the thing with him was he clocked the algorithm. So he managed to completely dominate the entire algorithm, and nobody before him had ever done that. So that's fascinating. And I think that must have annoyed them, that how dare he. But I tell you what was interesting is it must be very humbling for him, because I remember there were certain clips of his where he says, "I'm untouchable." He says, "I'm off the matrix. Like, you guys tomorrow could be switched off. You guys, this could happen. The government could shut you down. This could happen. That could happen. Me, there's a clip of his where he's saying,
And he always
I've
said
worked
that.
myself to, I'm beyond the matrix. I'm untouchable. I'm like this, I'm like set up for life." But you see, now this was interesting because it's like that anybody who does that tahaddi of inad, like in the Quran it mentions, it is from the sunnah of Allah that that person is humbled. It is, whether it comes, koi soz se, koi saz se, whatever the rhythm, and whether it comes after a while, but it humbled him. Definitely, to some extent, it brought him down a few notches, which, because he, he was. But but coming to the point, yeah, the confidence in which he professed things was, staggering and mind blowing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like somebody said, he used to say, cancel me. I don't care. I don't care. And that didn't work out so well. It's like it's where he's saying this, cancel me, I don't care, I don't care. And Morgan Freeman's voice comes on and says, indeed, he would come to care, as he would soon find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to be heard?
Yeah. It's
If
true.
he says that he doesn't miss it, like he's lying. That
The glance, the attention is so powerful that anybody that's caught up in it will always, you see, it's too addictive. It's too addictive. We have to, honestly, we have to be careful how we get sucked into the power of the glance. Just the viewer, how many people look at my photo, how many people like my thing, how many, this viewer. What we want, it's interesting. It's simply somebody becoming conscious of you, and you becoming conscious that they are becoming conscious of you. This meta consciousness, it is so powerful, so
si-
powerful.
like
Yeah.
since you said meta consciousness. Do you know about Till Swan?
About who? Sorry.
Till Swan.
Till
Uh,
Swang. No,
Till Swan.
no,
Uh,
I'm not sure. Till
it's
Swang. Til.
Till Teal.
Teal. Okay. Teal.
Till Swan. I
Al.
think you heard about her.
Swan. Teal Swan.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yep, it's come up. Oh, an international speaker. Oh, a woman, right? Teal Swan, American spiritual influence. Uh, right. Actually, I think I've seen some of her clips on Instagram or something. Like, I think I may have. Face looks a bit familiar. Oh, she speaks about out of body experiences and stuff. Okay, yeah. I think I may have seen one or two in the, not much though, but yeah. Okay.
Like
Why does she speak of this meta consciousness?
she's mysteriously suspicious. Like she stated that she is half human, half alien,
Oh
and
no, then I definitely haven't heard of her.
like,
I haven't heard of her.
she,
No.
talks about something very deeply, like very spiritual, out of body
Okay.
experience. But sometimes I like her, but sometimes his own lecture doesn't come to be in sync. Uh,
Yeah. I think that, look, there are a lot of people that we will find that do speak of this kind of spiritual psyche consciousness thing. I think, sure, like at the end of the day, we have a very rich tradition in Islam of the mystics that have spoken on this. And wherever you can get goodness, if you hear a kind word, there's an absolutely beautiful hadith that kalimatu haqqin dalatul mu'min, that an empowering, a right word, it is the lost property of a believer. أينما وجدها فهو أحق بها. Wherever he finds it or she finds it, they're more deserving of it. Let them take it. So if you, referring to also the verse of the Quran, الذين يستمعون الحق فيتبعون, that they follow the best of it. That people, when we hear things, we take what's good and we can leave what's bad. So if I don't know who this person is, but if people are saying sometimes certain good things and you think, well, oh, that's empowering, alhamdulillah. But if if it's weird or whatever, you'll
like
you'll get all kinds of people, I guess.
she says that like she gives some courses online. So she says that like from the money he will create an city where everybody is universally conscious, like creating a meta consciousness. And
Okay, sure. I mean, okay, interesting. But yeah, let's. What we'll do is let's wrap this up for today,
yeah,
inshallah. And I can see somebody just put up top G. Bugatti. They were Alama. Top G has been cancelled. Yeah. Oh, you know what though? I do kind of
Like,
I won't
that
lie. I don't
gave some
like the way that the
agitation to the community.
say that again. Agitations.
Yeah, to the community in general, internet community.
All right. Okay. Sure. Guys, let's wrap this up. So, first of all, Ashik Rahman, shukran. Much love for tuning in, sharing your thoughts as always. It's
Thank you for
been
taking.
a thoroughly enjoyable conversation. You take care, revise for the exams. Don't kill yourself over it. It's all good, man. Take a little break. Just breathe, inshallah. It'll all unfold majestically in front of you, bi'ithnillah. Ameen. All right, Ashik, take care. Speak soon.
Salam.
All right, salamu alaikum. Oh, he came back there. He was going from one, and there he was again. Look at that, the magic of the consciousness. Allah. Guys, it's been awesome, really, seeing you guys just coming on, just speaking, sharing my thoughts. Much love. May Allah bless you all. Keep you all smiling. Ameen. All right, we'll wrap this up for tonight. There is going to be a mind trap on Friday evening, UK time, probably around 7 p.m. with Dr. Shazad Salim. I'm really looking forward to having that conversation with the Sheikh. We're going to speak about just many issues surrounding um, women and Islam. And there's a whole, you name it, it's probably going to be part of the discussion. And it may span maybe 2 or even 3 conversations. So let's see how that goes. Other than that, guys, um, do please keep me, if you can, in your prayers. My mother, she's health's not too well, and yeah, and for everyone out there that is going through any kind of difficulty, may Allah make things easy for them. Yeah, that, everybody is fighting a difficult battle when we think about it. So yes, Allah, if you want to reach out to me, you're more than welcome to do follow me on Instagram. If you're not already following me on YouTube, do so. Keep up to date with the notifications. If you want one-to-one perspective sessions, if you want one-to-one kind of time, you're more than welcome to go to, there is a platform, you can go to patreon.com /MALM, and you can just book that in through tier 2, and it then guides you through how to schedule that in, and also allows you to become part of a Discord server that I've got, which is called Mindscape. So, and there's different tiers and options, so you're more than welcome to do that as well. People, speak soon. May Allah bless you all and keep you all smiling. Wassalamu alaikum wa khuda hafiz.